But I was just thinking about Jeff Bezos when he comes down back to Earth after Blue Origin or whatever, and he's like, I just want to thank every Amazon customer for buying all the yoga mats and like the books and stuff, because without you guys, I couldn't have been up here having the best experience of my life.
Welcome to Happy Millionaire, a show about how to make profit with a positive impact
and stay happy along the way.
I actually want to thank you for some feedback you gave me from last week's episode, because actually, like, people know I'm new to the podcast game, right? You're like the pro, and I think last week's episode, that was definitely one which was definitely interesting, right? Because I think it was one where we had agreements, disagreements at the same time. There was definitely high levels of banter. There's a lot going on in that episode, and I think that episode was probably one where I was like, wow, this is quite intense, right? Your banter levels were high at last episode. So yeah, it was a good chat. I don't know what you wanted to add or more onto it, but yeah, I think it was really interesting.
I'm trying to push you out of your comfort zone. So I've never had any media training, right? Everything I've done is through taking risks, putting myself out there, making mistakes and iterating. In the same way, when you're an entrepreneur and through the arc of your journey, you haven't had someone telling you what to do. At the end of the day, you've got to figure stuff out yourself. And the same thing with podcasting. Like, I can tell you the right things to do, but at the end of the day, you have to get comfortable with everything in your own skin. You have to get comfortable with it yourself. The analogy that I think you might initially think when we're chatting is like a boxing match where like, Rupy's pummeling me right now. And that's not the aim of the game. The aim is to like just have a regular chat in the same way that you and I have on the phone. So if I'm telling you something and I'm whittling on and I'm telling you this long ass story and you don't understand, don't think that we're in the middle of on stage and it will throw the audience off. Just be like, Rupy, I don't know what you talk. What's the question? Like, what is the question? Like, just in the same way, if I was whittling on the call and you had no idea what I was talking about, you'd call me out about it. Having said that, I'm going to go back on myself now. There are a few sort of strategies I think that can help you get more into the flow and become a more effective communicator. And so a few things that I've noticed, if you don't mind, I'm not pummeling you. I'm just trying to give you feedback. So a couple of things, and I was actually taking notes in the last one. Like, we're hitting baseline shots, right? Like baseline to your baseline, you're hitting baseline to me, and then all of a sudden you'll just hit a drop shot. And that drop shot is basically where you take the sting or the energy out of a conversation. It can be genuine, but sometimes I think when they're so frequent, it's more likely that it's just a bit of indecision and like how to react to the. Am I making sense? Does that make sense to you, or do you genuinely think I'm waffling?
No, it does, and I think where it comes from is that when I don't know what to say, you start using filler words, or you just want to like continue it. So it's me not being comfortable. Actually, something that I'm trying to improve on, and something I've mentioned in the podcast is those silence moments.
The irony is, we were talking about silence in the last episode, and you were using filler words to fill that silence out of awkwardness. And so actually, in the realm of podcasting, if there is silence, that's okay as well, right? That's fine. And I think this is useful for the audience, because a lot of people are looking to build their personal brands. They're looking to sort of, become more effective communicators. And your journey is going to be helping people in that. Because I know what you're like, when you're talking to potential investors, you're an effective communicator. You're on the money, but this is new for you. Everyone goes through this journey, man. So yeah, don't worry about it. Every week we'll give you a score if you like, maybe offline.
Appreciate the feedback, dude. No, look, on the scores, I'm happy for it to go live. It might be quite funny. Maybe Amit should come in at the end and go, all right, Joe, I'll give you like a 3 on that one. So let's dive in, Rupy. I'm happy to dive in.
Yeah, what do you got?
So last week I went to the pub and I caught up with one of my businesses. So there's a bunch of new people at Screen Loop. Someone quietly came over to me at the end. It was actually a new leader who's joined the business. And he said to me, hey, look, can you teach me, or can you give me like one tip on being a leader, which I probably don't know? I said to him, like, remember, as a leader, it's an honor to serve. Leaders are actually the lucky ones. We're getting to help and support our team to be successful. And I don't know about you, but like, the greatest moments in my life has been when I've seen someone else be successful. As a leader, you get an opportunity to serve and help, and that's like actually an honor.
It's a really good point. So if I reflect on something that happened to me a couple of months ago, so obviously stage of my company is pretty early, even though I've been doing the whole Doctor's Kitchen thing pretty much solo for the first 3-4 years. But one of the first full-time members is a researcher. She's very good at putting complex information into visual demonstrations of what the concept is. But I've been like pushing her the whole time that she's been been with me for about 6-7 months now, pushing her the whole time to sort of like do more, like learn a bit of copy, learn a bit about how you create articles that are going to be ranking higher on SEO. She turned around to me the other day. We're at this conference where we had some guests for the podcast, and she said, "I can't believe this is my job. I can't believe I get to do this." And that gave me goosebumps. I was like, this is really cool. Like, I've created this thing that is self-sufficient, and I've brought someone, a young, impressionable graduate on this journey with me, and they're having a great time. They're really enjoying that. And when you said, it's an honor to serve, it's an honor to sort of like help people grow. And, that's I agree. I think it's a privilege.
And like, just taking a step back, I want to give share one moment, which I think really made this affirmation or this thought just like really nail home. So there's a famous yogi who has been a massive influence to me, and I think we may have discussed it. It's a guy called Sadhguru, and he's got like millions of followers. He's probably the most famous yogi, or one of the most famous yogis in the world. And he came and spoke in London. He actually said that I'm so grateful and thankful for each one of you guys, because without you, I wouldn't have this human experience. He essentially said something like that. And if you think about it, it's like, right now, every human we touch or that we meet, they are all part of our experience. Like, we're all living through our lens, and like every human is part of our experience. So if there is no humans, right, like we don't have an experience. Like the greatest thing about life is the human experience, actually meeting other humans. So he took even one step deeper. Like he didn't even think about even serving, like, just how, you're helping others. He's like, actually, I'm happy you humans are here.
When you were saying that, not to like shit on anything, but I was just thinking about Jeff Bezos when he comes down back to Earth after Blue Origin or whatever, and he's like, I just want to thank every Amazon customer for buying all the yoga mats and like the books and stuff, because without you guys, I couldn't have been up here having the best experience of my life.
Yeah, but yeah, going back on the subject, one of the really good example on the serving, and these little moments have happened in my life, and now I've managed to put them all together, and it came to the statement of honor to serve. And it's been a bit of a game changer, because it just allows me, it just centers me whenever something happens, and just reminds me, like, it brings in the element of being grateful, but at the same time that, I really do care about other humans.
What else you got? Do you want to do another one for you?
No. Why don't we go? No, why don't you throw one of yours over? Let's see what you got.
I got this random email. It's part of a newsletter from. I'll give them a shout. Actually, they're called Sifted. They basically focus on European startups. It was featuring this person called Nadine. Nadine, I'm going to butcher her surname, is Nadine Hacha. She's the real deal. Consultant plastic surgeon. She's director of clinical innovation and strategic partnerships at Guy's and St. Tommy's. She set up this company called Proximy. Have you heard of it, Proximy?
No. So
basically, Proximy allows, if I'm a surgeon, it allows me to like virtually scrub. This is how they refer to it on their website. Virtually scrub into any operating theater in the world. So I get to see exactly what this surgeon is doing and actually follow the procedure step by step wherever I am in the world. So it's basically like a teaching platform where you're teaching clinicians to share skills from the very best surgeons in the world. Basically, everyone gets equal access to the best teaching in the world. They raised 80 million from SoftBank. You aware of that?
No, I just saw that now, which is I've had SoftBank
80 million from
that's a big one.
SoftBank. I'm surprised that there hasn't been as much hype as there was around someone like Elizabeth Holmes, who's the archetypal sort of entrepreneur that everyone really wished had worked out. Like back in the day, 10 years ago, everyone was like rooting for this person. She's going to revolutionize healthcare. And you have someone like this, who's the real deal in Europe, a bona fide consultant surgeon who's now got money in from SoftBank, who's created essentially, I'm not too sure exactly what the valuation of the company is, but it should be over $1 billion, considering they've raised over 100 mil already. And there's no sort of like talk about this person. It kind of irked me that this person hasn't had as much press around them, because what she's doing is literally raising the game of healthcare across the world using technology.
It is interesting. I think this is something, funny enough, I actually grabbed a drink with someone who helped on the PR for my company, and she had the same problem. She's like, hey, like the press that we're seeing, like the information out there is getting quite similar. It's like ABC is raised, and she even said it's from it's just like the same person, like Red Brick University, typical person. It might be someone who's come from a really good background, might be white, Caucasian, and they've raised X amount. Like this is the common story. And it's funny because she actually said, hey, like I'm dying for something different. Yeah, she does tick the boxes, right? So either number one, like I'm just spitballing here. So I don't know who her client base is. You think of Fitbit, like everyone knows about them because everyone's a buyer. But sometimes when the actual buyer is, maybe not as known, because this might be helping other doctors become better, or it's just not known as well. So number two is also like, the world has changed as well. It's like a lot of personal branding, like a lot of the branding has to come from the entrepreneur. It's just sometimes like, so the personal branding element is like, how much have you actually done in personal branding?
I know what you mean. Like, it's not like this is the next Airbnb.
I'm being neutral right now. I'm being neutral. Obviously,
Bumble, but
I'm being neutral right now, right? Like, obviously, I'm like, what the fuck's going on? There is a bit of a flag, right? But I just want to make sure we navigate through. Like, I'm basically doing the classic, hey, let's just make sure these buckets. But obviously, there could be something. Maybe we should get Nadine as a guest, and maybe she knows the answer. Go on, you got any more? That was a little. Have you got another one? Anything else for you?
No, you go.
I've noticed one thing since lockdown, right? So everyone, like, this is personal reflections happen, right? Everyone wants their lives to be more fun, right? And when you think about that, the number one thing that, hey, how do I make my life more fun? Like, what does it need? It's always people. Like, it's your relationships, right? It's your friendships, right? So the first thing that comes in mind is your partner, maybe your friends, family, nutmeg, your dog. I think since lockdown, everyone's done a bit of reflection and said, like, hey, like, I've realized I've spent a lot of time with the same group of people, right? I need to probably meet some new people, right? I need to make some new friends, people outside of my circle, to just maybe expand my knowledge or see what else is going on in the world, because it's a bit of same. So I thought it might be quite a good little session to maybe dive a bit deeper into it. It's like, look, if you want to meet new people, maybe meet new interesting people, maybe giving a few bits of tips and advice to people, because obviously you're meeting lots of people, so am I. There's a few things that we're probably both doing, like, just unconsciously and some consciously, but maybe talking about a few of those. So happy for you to start the party and give us a few that you've been doing.
It's funny. When I was in America recently, I was chatting to my friend's wife, who, when she had kids, she gave up her job, and she's focused on bringing up the kids and stuff. And they've moved a whole bunch of times since moving to America. So they moved to Miami first, they moved to New York, and then they moved to North Carolina. So it's funny you brought this topic up, because we were talking about how she creates little communities and little connections wherever she goes, and she sort of knows the game. She knows the pattern of the things that she needs to do to make sure that the kids have got friends, we've got friends, and we connect with people that we actually want to hang out with, rather than just out of like convenience. But there's also sort of like little tricks that you can do. So like play dates. So, a literal play date between parents, that's something that like she does. And you just get to test people out for free. And I guess bringing that back to sort of our generation that might be, before having kids or whatever, going to networking events is only going to attract that sort of mindset where, you're trying to get one on each other.
I think, yeah, there's some natural. I like the example that you gave with your friend in the US. Like, yeah, because when you have kids, it's probably even harder, right? So you have to, in a way, the kids are the vehicle to meet new people, right? And I think for people that may not have kids and who maybe in the 20s, 30s, 40s, like they probably remember the uni days where you could just meet hundreds of people, and now it's like not as easy, right? Plus, you're getting less into work.
Also, man, like simple hacks like getting a dog. Obviously, you've got to be invested in getting a dog in the first place, which I was not. Like that was all Rochelle's idea. But getting a dog and living that I have a dog lifestyle, it has been pretty effective at like creating a new sort of friendship network. Like some of our existing friends got dogs, and we met some new friends, some really close friends actually, so close that they're coming to our wedding. So yeah, getting a dog has been pretty amazing in that respect.
I think also you've got to be in the right mindset. I know this is a stranger, but I was speaking to another friend about this, and it's like really important that if you do want to make friends, you've got to realize that you're going to have to make that conscious effort when you're there. Like, because I've noticed like sometimes people want to communicate, but they're like, suddenly they're a bit guarded when they go there, or actually they're a bit scared to go speak to people, right? So I think it's also important that you go with the intention of, hey, like I do want to meet new people, and that's fine. As long as like there's a bit of personal stuff as well, like, hey, look, make sure it's not like coming across maybe like needy. I really want to make friends like you because there's some insecurity deep down in us or something that we're trying to fill with this having friends. But as long as like everything's all good inside and we're doing it from a place of love and we just want to meet new people, I think it's a beautiful thing. And just like, when that moment arises or naturally arises, if you do the right event, like have that conversation, whether it's, you want to meet a guy or a girl. I feel like, I feel it is possible it's just a muscle, right? We just got to go out there and meet new people.
What do you think of digital apps trying to mimic that experience, like Bumble Friends? I remember when Bumble Friends came up, I was like, what is this? Does anyone use Bumble Friends?
Do you know what? I've never used it. I've never used it. I've never used it. That's a really good point. I haven't seen any of these Friends apps. But to be honest, I don't know if I don't know how people use it.
I know Meetup used to be good. I used to use Meetup to like find volleyball people who want to play volleyball on like these courts that I used to live nearby. But other than that, I don't know. I think Meetup might have flopped actually.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think they actually got acquired or something. But there's Eventbrite. Like I think, look, the most simple thing is going to Google and just finding an event. I think there's the most simple tactic. The simple hack for someone is like find a friend who's also interested in like, this hobby, and you both just going to the event. That's the easiest hack I've realized. Or maybe 2-3 of you, so you guys can have fun anyway. And then if more people are there, but also be careful when you do go with your friend. Like actually do talk to other people, right?
Yeah. Well, you guys are going to come to my wedding, and you guys are just going to be you and Amit. So it's going to be a perfect opportunity for you to put.
Well, I already know the stag guys, right? So we know this. Yeah, we know the stag crew.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Actually, they're going to be with their wives, man. So
yeah, but that's also another good point, right? I think what sometimes is an easy hack to meet new people is that you might have certain friends in your circle that may have quite a wide network, and actually just asking them, like, hey, like, saying your intentions, like, hey, I would actually like to meet people in this sort of area or this sort of interest, or hey, they're just funny, or they're just whatever your intentions are, like once you know what they are, like, if you speak to someone, like, if any of my friends are listening, like, if there is something that you guys are looking for, it's just you just want to meet new people that are fun and interesting, fine. Like but the more clear you are, like you'd be surprised. And like when you go to your friends' birthdays, they're actually great because like everyone's always got like a whole group of different friends. And what I always see happening in my birthday, for example, is I do have different groups of friends and like they do stay in their groups, but like I wish that they did actually just step away sometimes and go, hey, like that's another really interesting group. They normally stay in their circle. And yes, I appreciate they're catching up, but that, the ability to create new people in like situations like that is such an awesome opportunity. And you just never know. You never know what you're going to bump into, right? You just never know. And on that note, I think it's time for our good friend Amit to jump on and give us the summary. And we want it to be raw, Amit. So like give us the good and the bad.
I was going to give you a 7.1 out of 10, Jay, but if I'm being honest, it's more like a 6.1.
Oh, man.
No, it was 7. I'm kidding. So on that last topic, the making friends one, I thought that was really interesting because like one thing I'm finding, like people like that you were close to like 20 years ago or so, sometimes you find just like their life has gone in a different direction. So every now and then you do need to refresh your friend circle. And yeah, you guys discussed a few hacks. So I definitely want to be part of this I have a dog lifestyle. So I think Rupy mentioned like his friends, like rather than just having friendships out of convenience, really think about the values and the interests that you want to develop. And one thing I actually saw on the stag, I don't know if you guys noticed this on Rupy stag, there was like people were making friendships on different like interests. Like we had some coffee nerds, like a tennis crew nerds, like barbecue nerds, and like there's all these friendships forming around those topics.
That's such a good insight. And also on that same, I know Jay was asking me about like how you make new friends. I'm actually at a point in my life where I'm trying to shred friends, not out of like, oh, I only want 20 good friends. It's actually doing the wedding and the invite sort of process is actually a good exercise to figure out who you're actually close with now. And it's not so much of a case of how long you've known someone that you actually genuinely want to invite them. It's more a case of, do I want to be in this person's presence going forward in the future? It's a bit of a brutal exercise, but it's a very necessary exercise, because otherwise you're weighed down. I know it's hard. It's not nice to talk about people weighing you down, but you're weighed down by the burden of having to be politically correct or having to, quote unquote, do the right thing by inviting everyone that you've ever said hello to, So it's quite an interesting point you make.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, that's a great point. So the first topic was, as a leader, it's an honor to serve. So there's probably like two aspects of leadership. There's service and ambition. And again, like a lot of the time when we think about leadership, and especially people that are not particularly entrepreneurial, they think of it as just being the ambition side. And that's why often the people that would make the best leaders shy away from leadership positions. They see it more as a management role. And like we've all been in that position where you've got this person managing you, and you can tell it's really about their ambition and about them kind of bossing people about. It's not actually about like the service, like say the NHS, or about the business. It's about them. But like when a leader serves their people, you can really feel it, and that's when like you really buy in. And that like example Rupy gave with this new person working for him, I think that really hit home.
Yeah. I loved it. That's a great example.
Sick.
We appreciate that. And I guess that's another episode done, Rupy. So I will see you next week. Well, actually, I'll probably see you on the weekend. But actually, I'm seeing you tomorrow. But yeah, for this show, we'll see you next week. Right?